Welcome to JackHorney.com show.
Okay, folks, I'm just going to talk about the leadership, the people in it, the Labour leadership. I'm reading out a few names off my phone because I made a few notes. Now, the first thing, I'm going to say it. One of the problems with the Labour today is that it doesn't seem to have any personalities. I mean, to be honest, the Conservative Party don't have the same powerhouse it used to have. Both Labour and Conservative used to have these full, huge, large-than-life characters, all academics by the sounds of it, very intelligent, very thoughtfully. When you listen to them, there's a huge presence. I'll give you an example in the Labour Party, and just Google. If you go on YouTube, even if you don't agree with them, I'm not saying you have to agree with them. You can just see the pattern, the personalities. You had someone like Harold Wilson. I always find listening to Harold Wilson fascinating. It was a large character and came across as very intelligent. Mo Moland, who sadly died, she was a large character, seemed to be very intelligent, very interesting to listen to. David Blunkett. I can't remember say his name. David Blunkett. Sorry, the chap who's blind. It is wonderful to listen to. Now you compare, and I can go on and on about the all the people who used to be in the Labour Party, just the same as you can in the Conservatives, to be fair. They used to have a lot of people larger than life. Now you compare that to virtually all the MPs today, especially in Labour, and they're a bit, bland, uninteresting. Now the first thing to note is a lot seem to still believe that they should have won the election, because they still think that people want socialism, which they don't. They haven't wanted it for years and years and years, because people want to. The problem is, I think a lot of Labour MPs tend to be middle class, who believe everyone who's working class is on the dole, and as such they only want to claim benefits, when in reality most of the working class are hard working and want to get on, want to own their own homes and so on. But that's what I think the problem with Labour is. They haven't actually got that into their heads. They've understood. I mean, because they're all middle class. I don't think there's anyone. I think you'll struggle to find anyone in the Labour Party who isn't middle class. So let's go through a few. I've just made a few notes. One of them, and the trouble is, I don't really. Some of these you really won't have. You have to sort of Google them. You'll recognise their faces, but I don't think they've made huge impact. The first one I'm going to go through. I think I'll just talk about each one. These are the ones that I think have put themselves up for leadership, and none I think is that special. I don't think any have got a chance in hell of winning any election. I don't think they've even got a chance of improving Labour's success at all, to be honest. The first one's Lisa Nandy. Now, to be fair, she comes across as quite nice, but a bit bland. I've been looking at a few YouTube videos and she never smiles. Out of them, she might actually do okay. I mean, I'd put her sort of the top. I don't like this where we haven't vote, where the belief is this. Let's vote. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, we should get a woman leader." Well, that sort of politics of that's died off in the 70s. That sort of belief. People shouldn't be taken on just because they're male or female or whatever. That sort of drivel, and I think that's holding Labour back, because they're still in that mindset of, oh, you've got to have somebody who may be one leg, black, lesbian, blah blah blah. That's gone. That sort of politics. We moved on. I mean, it doesn't help that Labour have never had a female leader, but it shouldn't be. That shouldn't be the priority. I mean, so The first one, like I say, is Lisa Nandy. Now, she comes across a bit bland, and I mean, she's okay. I think when I looked at her, I thought, well, she's all right. She's just a bit miserable though. You never see her smile. So I don't know if people would want her because she doesn't look. She doesn't have any. I wouldn't say she doesn't have a personality. She comes across as a bit miserable, really. But she's not. She doesn't come across as thick or anything. So in some ways she might actually do okay, but I don't think the current party will want her because I don't think she's too left wing. The other one people talk about is Jess Phillips because she's likable, and I'll say that out of them all, she is the most likable. The trouble is, just because you're very popular like that, it's a bit like Nigel Farage. He's popular with a lot of people. I mean, he's not my type, but he didn't really win anything, did he? And that could be the danger. She could be a Nigel Farage type. No, I don't mean Nigel. She's Nigel Farage type in politics, but I could see her being somebody. Well, I think she's somebody you could see on the radio a lot and stuff, running her own show, being a bit of a pain for Labour. But I can't see. You see, the trouble is, I think there's several problems. In Labour, she's not. I don't think they like her as much. This, especially on the left, they see her as this enemy. When I've seen them on the tweets, and she's not sort of a Corbynite. And also, I think the other side of it is, which would I think over the years she's gone on about how women should be selected above men or something. That sort of politics it works okay if you're not very good. The trouble is, I think she's actually done herself injustice by always banging on, saying, having this sort of ideology that you should vote for her just because she's a woman. Well, I think she's actually smart enough to not need that. I mean, I actually like Jess Phillips, and I don't think you need to. I don't think I'd be voting for just because she's a woman, if you see what I mean. When I see women go on about vote for we need more women and whatnot, it's usually the thick women who aren't very popular who say it, the ones that aren't going to succeed, and they have to say, well, vote for me anyway because I'm a woman. I don't think Jess Phillips has needed to do that, and I think I think people won't like that type of politics because it's sort of out of date. And I think a lot of people may resent, may do. I mean, she could do well, but I don't know. I mean, will her just being the very popular? You see, she is popular and she's liked by a lot of people. But the trouble is, that's different to running a party. It'll be interesting. You see, to me, she's very good. You see, I can see Jess Phillips having a talk show like on one of these talk radio shows, and a lot of things. I mean, if she'd stop being an MP, she'd still be popular, and you could see her on all the game shows and whatnot. I'm not sure she'd be Prime Minister quality. That's the trouble. But we'll see. I can't see Labour taking her on. But still. Emily Thornberry, well, I don't think she's got a chance in hell because ages ago she did that post about White Van Man, and I think people won't. She won't. I don't think some people will like her. I mean, I don't mind her, but there's part of me, you can see that she ain't going to go down well. I think people see a bit smug. Rebecca Long Bailey, well, she started off being the number one because she's the carbon one, but ugh, ugh. I think somebody said she's just a pair of glasses, and I listened to the interviews, and oh god, she just ugh. I mean, you might as well just throw Labour in the bin if she gets in. There's nothing. Ugh, but still. I mean, it'd be interesting if they take her on because you can see Labour completely dive bombing then. You've got the other two, Clive Lewis and Keir Starmer. They're just, I mean, to be honest, I don't know much about them. They seem nice people, but, ugh. I mean, this is a trouble. I mean, they say Keir Starmer has the best chance, but, you know, it doesn't spark. None of these people I've mentioned, none of them seem to be anything but, I mean, that's the reality. I mean, I think if you was actually to ask people in the street, name any of them, except for Jess Phillips. Jess Phillips is probably the only one people would know. If you named her, I think people would visualise her. I don't think if you went through any of the others, you'd know who they are without Googling. Clive Lewis, perhaps, he's been on a few times. This is a bit more PR, you know, more public. I think he's more somebody who's been on TV a bit more, so maybe people know him. I mean, I always thinking, I'm going to go on a little limb here, that out of everyone, Angela Eagle should go back and run for leadership, but I don't think she has the heart for it. She looks a bit more Prime Ministerish than the rest, to be fair. But, I mean, ugh. They're not going to win because I think they're still set on this idea that this left-wing drivel is what people want, and they're still blaming Corbyn. Well, I know Corbyn. I don't think I've done the videos. I went through a few things and got bored. I don't think Corbyn was fully to blame. I think there was some aspect because when he came in, I actually thought it was going to be something worthy. Sorry, I think I've got a bit of a cold. The reason being he was vegetarian. I don't think he's vegan. I think they said he's vegetarian. He's anti-nukes, blah, blah, blah. And there were things there that actually appealed to me. But the problem is, and I think when I've listened to him, I don't think he's this great academic, which is what I think people thought he might have been. He might be an academic, but he never comes across as it. And I think he's only a smaller part of it. I mean, he's not helping the party when it's sort of sounding like he's a bit anti-British. I mean, it's a bit like, and I think he's a bit foolish to criticise Trump for getting rid of this terrorist guy or whatever he was, because the guy actually, I believe, is responsible for the deaths of Americans and might even be English soldiers. Well, you know, when you start going down the lines of if he's responsible for direct deaths, you don't, or indirect, you don't really criticise somebody getting rid of him by saying, no, we've got to be more, it's illegal, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, once you start attacking American or English soldiers or anyone from, you know, on our side, you don't have rights. What's on you? Don't. I mean, well, all right, you do have rights, but you know, you don't start as the opposition saying no, it's wrong, tut, because at the end of the day, people who attack British, and I'm not going to sit there and worry too much about the law. Get rid of them. You know, bye bye. You know, if you want to attack English American soldiers, bye bye. And that's it. You know, you can come over to England and make and face trial. If you don't want to do that, bye bye. Because you can't sit there and allow them just to go, oh, they've killed a lot of English or American soldiers, but let's be nice and shake their hands. And that's the trouble is, I mean, just in the last few days when I heard Corbyn do it, I just cringed because I'm thinking it's coming across that you're sort of more protecting this guy than your English soldiers or American soldiers, and that doesn't sound good, and you're representing Labour, which doesn't sound good, and it really sounds dreadful. Even if you believe that, you just shut your mouth, don't you? Why do it? Why make it political? You know, at the end of the day, you can go, you can make some noise, but to completely stand in Parliament and criticise when, and it didn't sound good when the Boris Johnson said, well, you got paid by, I think was it Iran or Iranian TV? They said that to, but I mean, it does sound bad. And the trouble is, they still think that this people want this socialism nonsense. Well, they don't, because I think the trouble is a lot of Labour still think the working class are all on the dole. That's all they see the working class as. It's a bit like that film. Do you remember I forget who made it. It makes a few where, and I watched it where it was about this bloke who ends up losing his job and struggles with the benefit system. Well, that rather than criticising the government, surely it should criticise the benefit system for being overzealous. I mean, one of the problems at the moment for me, I don't see the Conservative Party being the baddies. I see overzealous people not having any intelligence, or maybe they haven't got the authority to make decisions. But if I was some of these people in the benefit system who work there, I think I'd be looking after people who are getting benefits more than they are. I wouldn't be so keen to get everybody off, because and they seem to be making a lot of mistakes. I was reading that they're miscalculating benefits and it's costing them even more money. Well, someone's got to deal with that. Anyway, I'm just going on, but to be honest, to basically sum up, I think Labour are finished now. I don't think Labour will ever come back. I think they'll just end up being an opposition party that just gets it. There won't even be. In the past, I think people automatically voted Labour. I don't think they will in the future. The trouble is who replaces them. I mean, at the moment, it's basically just a Conservative Party. The others are just parties just going, no. I mean, if you've heard my other ones, I always say if I voted, I'd vote the Green Party. But I mean, what do? They seem to make out that the only people should care about green policies are on the extreme left, and that they have a socialist policies. Well, I'm sorry, but if the Green Party want to succeed, they can't be socialist. They've got to be for everyone, and they can't pretend that the green issues are just a left-wing thing, because they're not. People in the Conservative Party, voters do care about the environment, and they need to appeal to more people instead of just going, which is what I'll hear. But I mean, Labour. I think the trouble is Labour have convinced themselves that they'll get votes regardless, and it's been a shock to them that no one cares. That sort of politics has gone, and I think Labour has finished now. I don't think they will recover. I mean, they're saying that, if whoever gets in might do it, and then if they don't become popular in a couple of years, they'll drop out and replace. Well, what's the point of that? That means the next election they won't ever be popular. They're just wasting the time. I mean, it's just an old-fashioned. Labour are so old-fashioned. I mean, it's just this nonsense about everybody has to have a say, and they all have everyone's so important, having little meetings up and down, and who cares? I mean, it's just nonsense. It's ridiculous. It doesn't work. That policy doesn't work. They've got to stop all this rubbish, as if it's always so democratic. Democratic. Yeah, it's not working though, is it? It's just a waste of time. It's just to make everyone feel important and everyone have a say. But the trouble is, it doesn't get results. I think it's a bit like there's a story about if you did this design, you'd never design a camel because people won't agree how many humps and whatnot. And that's what you'll get. It's just, you know, the whole system of Labour is so old-fashioned. It's a joke. But they'll stick with it. They won't change because it's an ideology. It's become a religion. A lot of people in Labour, they don't see Labour as a political party anymore. Or ever have done. I think for years they've seen it as a religion. And because it's a religion, they're too scared or they don't want to change it. So they have to stick with this, come what may. So they'll sink Labour because it makes them feel better than actually changing it. Change is bad. If it goes wrong and only 10 people support it, they won't care. They'll sink Labour completely, and we'll see this. I suspect because they did so badly in the last election that Labour might do slightly better in the next one. And the trouble is, that they'll see that as they'll say to themselves, "Oh, Labour on the way back up, and they won't change." You can see how they're thinking. I mean, anyone else would have said, "Look, this left-wing nonsense has ended. It hasn't worked," but they're not. They're actually telling each other it's successful. They've actually won the argument. You haven't. I mean, I've been saying this before. I went on Twitter and told people it isn't going to work, and they said it will, and they're still saying it now. I mean, it's a bit like standing in the sea and drowning and claiming that the sea isn't actually rising, and we're not drowning, when we well can see it, they're drowning. But people like that. That's basically what they're doing. They're sat in the sea as the sea level rises, and they just don't want to admit it. They won't even admit that their feet are wet. And we're all sat there going, "But you're drowning." And they say, "No, we're not. The water will eventually go down or whatever, and we'll succeed." And as they're drowning, they'll say, "We're still going to win." When they're dead, they'll just say, "Oh," well, they won't say anything because they're finished, but they're slowly going. I mean, this nonsense that they're appealing to the young, I think even they're getting bored with it. It was just, they did just so badly. I mean, come on. But you're still not going to face it. There's no point. The fact that none of them are saying, they're still, every time I go on, they're fighting amongst themselves. The Labour is split into 2 or 3 ways now. They're a split party. They don't even have to worry about any other parties because they're killing themselves off. They just argue amongst themselves, and that's all they'll do. All that'll happen now is Labour are going to argue amongst themselves for years and slowly destroy themselves, rather than admit to it, because there isn't an alternative. The only thing they can do is just stick with what they've done and argue in the little pubs up and down of the little meet and pretend they're all important. Tell each other how wonderful they are and how because the left are the nice people, and even if they say anything negatively racist or whatever, they're not actually racist, they'll claim, because they're the nice people. It's everyone else who's evil. Doesn't matter. You can do what you want in Labour, because whatever you do, because you're the nice people, it means you're nice. You're just justified. And they'll just destroy themselves. They're irrelevant. I mean, they're actually going to end up being in a situation nobody's going to report on them. Because, like I said, I've listed them, all the people who are standing up, and there isn't one there. Jess Phillips might be the only one, but then would she end up just being the comical one? Yeah, she'll be popular, but I don't know if that'd hit votes. She'll be entertaining. But you see, like I said, Nigel Farage was entertaining. He didn't go anywhere, but, she could be, I mean, Nigel Farage was massively popular in that regards. And the trouble is that didn't result in votes, did it? And I can see the same thing with Jess Phillips. She'll be very, 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 very popular, but I don't know if that would result in votes, because I don't know if she'd appeal to people, because I think she's alienated quite a lot of people in reality. Anyway, we'll see. I mean, I think eventually I won't be talking about Labour because they're irrelevant, and I thought they would have dramatically changed after the election. That's what I thought. And it was amazing, the fact they haven't. And the fact they haven't, and they're not even, no one's even talking about change. They're just going, we won the vote, but we didn't win the vote, but we did. Oh, look, people are shouting no Jeremy Corbyn. People are still saying it now. Oh, but they're all shouting no Jeremy Corbyn. Oh, but you didn't win. I mean, it's laughable. Anyway, folks, we'll see. I think there's another week before others can put their name in. I mean, like I say, what was it who I mentioned? I mean, out of them all, like I said, the only one I think who should stand is Angela Eagle. But I don't think she's got the heart to do it. I think because she faced abuse, didn't she? I mean, that was all the nice left wingers. They all abused her. There's apparently absolutely she dropped out. You know what I mean? All she got was abuse. That's from the left. And that's nice, isn't it? I mean, it just shows you how nice the left are. Relatively unpleasant people. I mean, that's when anyone talks about the left to me, I just think they're the most unpleasant people going. I don't see them as these nice goody two-shoes. They just seem bullies and nasty. Ugh. And I think that's the other reason why I don't think Labour will get him, because I think the association is with bullies and thugs and unpleasantness. But we'll see. I mean, at the moment, I think I'd say I could probably put my life on with Labour not winning the next election at the moment. Unless something dramatically changes, I think I could. I think I could even put my life on possibly even saying that Labour won't get in for the next 20, 30 years. I mean, I don't think they'll get in again. I might even put a quid or two on, say they'll never get in the next 50 years, but will I live that long? But that's how I feel. I don't think they will. Anyway, let me just check this is recorded, because I leave it on and the batteries flatten. Anyway, that's me, folks. Just I don't know if this is a quick one or not. Ciao.